The headphones are working?
Yeah, neze kuyepa nataa nikamuza sana jimanja akasema nisiamini azalipa ya Mungu ona chake kwanga bantu sibasa kana usanga balese ndapofi ona sai true nji sai zamu kwa macho huko hichi fanya ni taki ukikita mambo ya fadi muziki nawe mfiti tikawanenge mwana sibu mfiti you are too much in panguku na ripa so vit ripa.
Yes, Reaper Stock Feed has it all for your broiler chicks. Find us at plot number 20554, Garden House area of Mukondo, Lusaka. In all outlets around, look for Reaper Stock Feed or find out more on 0953 624050 or 0971 864700. Reaper Stock Feed, the feed masters.
Welcome back to Talk at 6, and of course this is the last edition for the year 2019, and our guest is former PF Lusaka Province Secretary Mr. Chendela Mukondo, who is the PF Chief Administrator, PF Information Desk Chief Administrator, and reviewing the PF success in the year 2019 and the years that the PF has actually been in government, looking at a period of 2011 to date, and also particularly this year 2019. So Mr. Mukondo, I think before we went on a break, I did ask you if at all you feel you have contributed enough to actually improve the living standards of the people. But people have complained of this increased cost of living. People have complained. Actually, we have read, and even the president has indicated that poverty levels have remained high in Zambia. I think about 60% of people in the rural areas are living in poverty, while about 40% or so in the urban areas are still living in poverty. And with this increased cost of living, where mealie meal is now costing about 150 kwacha or more, transportation now likely to increase after the increment in fuel prices just last week. Don't you think as a party, or the party that is in government, you are partly to blame for this increment in cost of living and sending people into this level of poverty?
First and foremost, allow me to also bring in also the issue of our neighboring countries.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the Congo, they have been depending on us when it comes to the staple food, maize.
Okay.
We have seen a lot of smuggling on our borders. Tanzania, in 2019, we have seen also they have been affected badly there. They have been importing our smuggling our mealie meal. If you go, the pattern is the same even in Zimbabwe, where the western part of Zimbabwe has been hit very badly. And I had the privilege of meeting some women who are coming from Botswana, and they were speaking Siswana. So I also greeted them in Siswana, Dumera, Ma, Dimera. So we engaged some. I was asking them, why are they here?
Mm-hmm.
And then in their own way, they say our economy in Botswana is not doing well. If you people, you don't know how Zambia, the economy is far much better than even the one which is in Botswana. We have seen for the first time.
So was that this year? Oh,
this year.
Okay.
This year. And that statement took me back to when I was in Botswana. I stayed there for about close to 2 years, 6 months, somewhere there. I was shocked that today this Botswana whom I knew they were not moving out of their country. Today they can come to Zambia to buy things, because under the description they said, you people, you Zambian, you don't know how good the economy is. The Zimbabweans are coming into your country to buy things because things are cheaper here. The Botswana, they are coming into your country, things are cheaper here. Some of them, I remember that it was somewhere like 2018, I met some South Africans there at game stores. I thought game stores is a South African company, so I was expecting things in South Africa to be much cheaper. But you find people, they fly into this country just to come and buy items in Zambia. So basically, from just these citizens from two countries, I don't want to talk about too much Congo, because people say it has always been the case. The Congolese, they have too much water there. Their soil, it's maybe acidic, that's why they come here to buy maize in Zambia. Mm-hmm. The Tanzanian situation is the same. They have almost 3 rain seasons there. So they come here, but I wanted to just make an example of Botswana, especially as for Zambians, especially as the Zambians used to say everything, I want to go to Botswana. It was more like a high due standard. So basically, the economy internally, it may be looking very challenging, and especially that we have been talking about the prices. And my colleague here, my friend who was there in the morning, articulated very well on how road shedding has affected the milling because of other alternative sources of energies, the variables that we have resorted to use, things like the oil, the gensets. Mm-hmm. As a result of that, you find it has been going up, coupled with what we have always said, that farming is supposed to be taken as a business. So the president had addressed the main challenge that our farmers had, that is increasing the bag of mini meal from somewhere 80 kwacha, 50 not mini meal but maize, from 80 to about 115 kwacha, 110, there's somewhere there. So that one, it's an input cost on the part of the millers. So they also decided to push it a little bit upwards.
To recover their cost.
So people have been appealing to the government to subsidize. But basically, because we are an economy that we are deliberated in 1991, we believe in the market forces to be at play. So to address that challenge, we have gone into what we are addressing in terms of infrastructure development and doing the basics. And we have gone across the country, starting from Chendela somewhere there. We have started the construction of milling plants, which will be handled in the maybe some of them will be handled by the Chinese company that the government has engaged, and then the other one by ZNS. So we have seen in Chendela, as I said, in Kabwe, Choma, and here even in Chongwe. These are massive investments that we have embarked on, so that at the end of the day, we permanently address this issue. Because previously, we believed in offloading the strategic maize into the market so that we reduce them. But to handle the situation on a long-term basis, we thought we need to build the infrastructure so that at the end of the day, come 2020, if ZNS is operational in Choma, we know that our farmers there, our people affected badly, will be able to bring down the prices. So ours is that one of addressing the issue on a permanent basis.
So are you saying this is temporal? This high cost of living is temporal?
Yes, in short, that's what I'm saying. These are very temporal. You see, as the prices stabilizes and as this milling plant becomes operational, we'll find our people be smiling once again. And when it comes to the energy challenge, the load shedding, very soon yesterday the president posted and updated the country that he has been given a latest report from the Ministry of Energy. And the report is saying they are 85% on one of the nearest hydro power station that is under construction, that is the Kafiweroa. And it will bring on board about 150 megawatts by March. So basically, what we have been investing in, they'll start now bearing fruit. And the Kafue Lower itself, we are talking about, that is a subtraction from 750. So as we progress in 2020, we'll continue giving our people the so much desired energy. So basically, as a party, we are very much comfortable because we went to do the basics. We are looking at the coming 60 years to 100 years, not just as of the immediate, where you find an opposition political party will be saying you should have paid Mamba Corollaries 28 million instead of sending it to South Africa. So basically, ours is that one of also encouraging the private sector and foreign investors to come into the country. And this is one of the reasons that's why we have also increased the electricity tariffs to make them very attractive. And as I've talked about culture and the history, as I said, historically, you find that you ask, did Kaunda construct any dam? You find that no. Kaunda, Chiruba, did he construct any dam? You say no. Lev Patrick Manawasa, did he leave any dam? You say no. The list goes on until this administration. So we have taken up the problems themselves as Patriotic Front and to address them from the fundamentals. And we are not even condemning any administration. We are saying this is our baby. Let the people talk, let the people condemn us. But at the end of the day, come 2021, they will start smiling because a lot of these projects that we are talking about, they will be operational.
Okay, so
some of them, it's...
You're not feeling like with these people complaining, I think there are even opposition political parties that are also decampaigning you over, using this increased cost of living, using this increased hours of load shedding and, other factors. Don't you think it's kind of decampaigning you at large?
We are a party that has been following a laid-down plan, and that is the 7th National Development Plan. We have not embarked on ad hoc plans as they come, but ours, it's a laid-down plan running from 2017 to 2021. So we are following it religiously so that we are not confused with what the opposition want. Them, they are just appealing to the general chorus. Ours, we are governing a country, and we need to be very serious, strategic people. We know what we are doing. The opposition that we have at the moment, apart from the MMD, they have never been in government. And even the people who are leading them there, for instance, Comrade HH, he has no experience of governance. But his MPs, we know they have some experience from the legislature. So we are not worried at all because they are talking from without. There are people who have no experience. There are people who have no agenda for this country. They feast on negativity. And it's unfortunate, even where I'm coming from the social media, they have been peddling lies. They have been the purveyors of fake news. So with us, we know that they are fake. And fake news or fake things, they have always short legs. So for us, it's the truth, and we are telling the people the way things are. For us as the nation to address these economic challenges that we are facing, we need to build infrastructure. We need to invest in infrastructure. and we need to pay for the services that we are enjoying. Among them, it's the toll gate fees, which is not a tax but a toll gate fees, that user fees that we have been charging our people, so that at the end of the day we maintain this road that we are already enjoying. You can move from here, Lusaka, to the Copper Belt because of the investments that we have made in these roads. You can be very much rest assured you move from here to Mansa. You can move from Lusaka to Mongu, from here to Livingston, because we have made investment. From here to Chirundo, we have made investment. There are small towns like Feira. Before we came into office, there was no these telecommunication towers now that we have built across the nation. They have made everybody to have access to what we are trying to communicate to the people out there. In the far-flung places, just here in Lusaka, Feira, there was no road. They were not joined to the national grid line. So with us, the Patriot Front, we are addressing things from the fundamentals. We have invested extensively in energy, and we last time I was here, I was mentioning that we have put in more than 3 billion, so that at the end of the day, ZESCO, who are the recipient of these funds, these developmental structures, they must pay back, and they have to pay back through increasing the having reflective tariffs. So any individual that is enjoying the national cake, if you talk about electricity, we need to pay for them. And then also, I talked about the mindset change, and then inculcating a new culture into our people.
Okay. Now, quickly, we are almost opening the phone lines. I think there's this culture of politics that has taken center stage in Zambia, of name calling, so to say, insults or demeaning one another.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
As a party, as PF and individuals, yourself being the chief administrator of one of the critical components of the party in terms of reaching out to the people, social media, are you contributing to this, kind of character assassination, or really what are you doing about it?
It's unfortunate that we are now in a world where social media is on the upswing, and it's in its infancy, we may say so, because the population is 7 billion, and you find maybe Facebook has 1.7 billion or 2 billion people, meaning it's growing, it's in the infancy. So basically, this character assassination, people didn't have this information at hand. Today, it's just at a click of a button from or a soft touch on the screen. You'll be able to even insult the Republican president. And, it's very unfortunate, because previously when you used to campaign, I remember in 1991 somewhere there, Chiruba was very smart. He never used to condemn or mention Kaunda by name. They would say, UNIP has done this, they have failed to do this.
And not an individual.
Not an individual. So even in 1996, it was the same. MMD has failed to do this. MMD has done what? MMD. But today, if somebody just mentioned Edgar Lungu, it's like it's anonymous is saying PF has done this. They vent their venom because they lack patriotism, and especially with this social media, it's like it's open for. And the unfortunate part which is happening, especially with the digitalization, which I talked about, and then also this mobile providers, and in most cases like Facebook, it's not controlled from our space, our political space. They are happening elsewhere. So it's very difficult. But what is important is people, as I talked about the chapter 4 of our national development plan, integration of culture, it's very important. So that at the end of the day, if people appreciate the values, people won't be able to go out to insult our Republican president. so that it's not only the Republican president that they will be insulting. It will mean also it has also its own ripple effect on the economy and the way generally people will be looking at Zambia. So these are some of the things which you find that the social media has done on our political space. It's very unfortunate, and with our friends who are in particular the UPND, they don't have that spirit of patriotism to this nation, and it's important that their leader should be the one to start the inculcation of the values and attributes. Is it attitudes, and then also change of mind of our people. So it starts from the parties ourselves at the end of the day, who are championing all these insults. So we don't have that spirit of patriotism, and a lot of people that have mistaken patriotism for having that spirit of bitterness, hatred. They think by showing hate, they are showing their passion for this country, but basically it's very unfortunate. So that is as we stand today as 2019, it's our prayer. That's why we have always invited our friends that the only solution to this is through dialogue. Not only dialogue, but also we involve ourselves, we engage ourselves in being with the church constantly, and then we also improve at the way we look ourselves as Christians, because the ethics of Christianity should supersede almost everything. We should look at each other as brothers and sisters, just fighting for one thing, and that is for a better Zambia, not as enemies.
All right. So lastly, before we open the phone lines, let me just announce the numbers: 0962870921, 0953448551. The two numbers for your contributions. Mr. Mukondo, I'm going to ask you this question. We've talked about so much, development that the PF has rolled out.
Yes.
In the years that it has been in power since 2011. Now, where do you base your success? If we're going to say you are describing yourself as a successful party in government since coming into power, do you base your success on the infrastructure that you have put in place, or how would you describe success in your words?
Success in my words is looked at the bedrock of any economy, it's infrastructure development.
Okay.
And that's what we have embarked on. So if I was to say 50 years from now, if I was 90 years, 92 years, I will look back and then say the PF had invested in a lot of energy infrastructure. That is way back in 2019, 2016. By then we have even the nuclear based energy. I'll be very proud to look back and say this is what the PF had done. Because ours, we are looking at the 2060, something beyond the 2060. These are the Smart Zambia plans that we have. So basically, we have invested also in the transport sector, where we have 3 major airports. By then, if I look back 2060, I'll say the PF look at Harimanga and Kumbula. It's them who had refurbished it and built an international standard airport. Here in Lusaka, we are now a Dubai, or now people are coming to Zambia. The economy is far much better than what we had found it in 2011. In Ndola, it will be the same. The Ndola airport, we see this happening. So under the energy sector, we're talking about diversifying. We will be the net exporters of energy. Under the transport sector, we will bring on board new opportunities, especially tourism, and then also the cost of doing business will be reduced. So at the patriotic front, others it's under the Ministry of Health. By then, let's say 60 years from now, who have Zambia, maybe the population will even be around 60 million. So I will be for me, that would be a success. This land of ours that God has given us, we need more people, more brains. So for us, our achievement is that one of population. If we can be 60 million, 70 million by 2050, we'll be very happy. Because fundamental as a Christian, God has told us, you go out and multiply.
Okay, so 0962870921, 0953448551, the numbers to call. In the studio is the PF Information Desk Chief Administrator, who is the former PF Lusaka Province Secretary. This is Mr. Chendela Erasmus Mukondo, and we are reviewing the PF success as we end the year 2019. Has the PF, delivered according to its campaign promises so far? Your questions or contributions, and when you come through, try to be as objective as possible in your contributions. Good evening. Yes, good evening to you. Chindendende. What is your other name? Yes, what is your other name? Yes, Eric.
Thank you.
Such as which one?
Okay, I'll give you a better one.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much for coming through, Mr. Eric.
Point taken, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Yes, Omwinga. Okay, mkusilizi sana. Zikomo. 0962870921. Good evening. Good evening to you.
Bwina mulishani mwamfu mgati wa nani?
Yes, Moses. So did you follow, Moses, did you follow his contribution? No, not yours. Yeah, I guessed it. Did you follow what he said? Okay, that's what it is. Atotela. Good evening. Good evening to you. Happy New Year to you too. Your name and where you're calling from? Yes, sir, Chewe.
Mukondo.
Mr. Mukondo. Niwa Mukondo.
Embwe. Embwe.
You need to be concluding. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. 09628709210953448551. One call, and then some Mukondo can respond. Good evening. Hello. Good evening. Good evening to you. Yes. Your name and where you're calling from? Yes, Teddy.
Wewe na maisha ni wateti. Mfumo. Ujo sife. Ijo chintu icho. Embwe tatotela.
Alright, so Mr. Mukondo, you can respond to these contributions. I don't know if you want to remind on one of them. Or you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'll start with Ted from the bottom, who has said, we love you very much. We had campaigned and voted for this party. We went to line up as it as 05. And he said he has cited a lot of corruption that is happening. And then also the medicine part. My brother Teddy, this fight against corruption, it's a continuous process, and this party under Edgar Chagwalungu has embarked on what we call Smart Zambia, and to reduce the corruption levels, we have embarked on digitalizing our processes so that at the end of the day, people cannot have a direct contact with money, the resources that most cases it's cash. For in most cases, I remember the tradition, I'm still talking about the same culture, heritage and other thing which we have inherited as the PF. We have been too much of a cash society, and this happened when we were blockaded by, is it South Africa, somewhere there. So Kaunda had embarked on saying, instead of you people banking the money, believe in now keeping the money in cash form. So that has been more like a culture, which we have always believed in having the money in our hands. So basically this one, by her coming up with Smart Zambia, this President Juan Edgar Chagwa has continued to encourage that all the wings of government, especially those who have been touching or in touch with our strategic resources, which is cash at hand, must be digitalized so that we remove pilferage. And then on the medicine, this situation is being addressed by coming up through what we are calling decentralizing the health sector. And it's not only the health sector that we did decentralizing, but also the local government. So medicine, if you have seen, our health minister has been all over the place, visiting this country and inspecting and then officially opening some of the storages like those in Luapula. They are operational in Western provinces, they are operational. So this also goes with other ministries. We have gone on what we are saying. We have to decentralize to give people the so much needed power. And I talked about also the milling plant. They also help us to decentralize. Instead of everything coming to food reserve agency, we can have all these other provinces handling the so much needed strategic resources. So that at the end of the day, the problem of one province should not spill over to another. The way we are, the energy sector, we have a problem because we have invested almost 90%. It was in the southern province. And that's where I find that our water bodies have been hit badly because of climate change. So we are diversifying even in the energy sector. And then coming to my brother Moses, he talked about the MMD, and then he said they have been misleading, and the PF, it's a matter of us just agreeing that we have brought poverty to our people. My brother, it's important that I tell you that what has fallen us, all of us, it's something very natural. And you know, the opposition in this year, they were even telling us that people will be dying of hunger. We thank God that no one, not even a single individual, has died from hunger, because this party is very much committed. Through the Vice President office, we have gone out, flat out there to mitigate the situation, and we have been giving our people the so much needed food so that they may go to 2020. So basically, another one is my brother, Mr. Mwinga. You know, he talks about mini meal and road shedding and fuel. So he just tried to see the opposite, trying to do some propaganda that we have accepted. I want to tell him, road shedding, 6 months, is it 3 months from now? Or should I say 6 months from now, it will be something which will be history. And I came here, I talked about it, that it will be history. That's why I never even wanted to talk about it, it will be history. And then also fuel. Fuel, we don't have fuel. The only thing which we do is we import and we separate it. That's the only thing which we do at Inden. But basically, this fuel, if you do comparatively, if you came on our information desk, we'll show you comparatively how the prices are faring across Africa. This fuel increase, it's almost everyone. And you know, we all import from the same sources, Saudi Arabia and other nations. You know, some of the things which have made the oil to be very expensive, especially in 2019, it's strategic countries like in South America. You find that other countries which were providing so much needed energy, this same resource, they are no longer producing. So basically, these are some of the challenges. Even the banning of the 2% that they are contributing, that is coming from Middle East there. All these, they are coming together to affect the way we are doing business, even here. So my brother also said the comparison, he does not want to say the comparison, but basically, what I wanted to communicate to our brother that we are doing far much better than other nations, because the countries are from our neighbors. That's why I even said the Congo, who has been importing maize, they have kept on importing maize from here. Malawi at one time, they were importing maize from here. So basically what we have done is to stop even exporting maize, and also to tighten up the controls so that we don't have even any smuggling through the national service. So this government believes in not leaving anyone, but to move with every individual, like my brother Chindindindi, Alik, so that we move together. But basically, this, as I said, these are some of the ripple effect, like, as I said, it's global on the fuel component.
Okay. We take more calls 096287 0921 0953 448551. This is the Talk at 6, brought to you by Reaper Stock Feed. Our guest is the former PF Lusaka Province Secretary, who is the Chief Administrator, PF Information Desk, Mr. Chendela Mukondo. And we take our last set of calls. Good evening. Good evening to you. Yes, go ahead.
Don't talk of things which cannot add any value. Those dams which we're talking about, I'm talking about things which can produce. And then on the Kwacha versus Botswana, it's 1-to-1. Go and Google the currency. The Botswanan Pula and the Zambian Kwacha, it's 1-on-1. The Botswanan currency Pula, it's 1 kwacha. You are talking about value, making comparison. Kwacha today and the Pula, it's 1 kwacha.
Okay, you need to be concluding. Okay. Thank you so much for coming through. 0962870921. Good evening. Yes, Amaba. Yes, go ahead.
I can't reverse those words.
Okay, you can use a better term.
Use the better term, Makebi. Can you please?
Okay, Mr. Kebi, you're not moving on the same line. At least use a much friendlier word. 0962870921. Good evening. Good evening to you.
Good evening, sir.
Atizina Mandani? Nda? Msanji? Yes, make your contribution quickly as we are running out of time. it's you. Hello, good evening. Good evening to you. Yes, my champion. He's greeting.
Well, good evening.
Yeah. Yes, we're getting you. Okay, you need to be concluding. Thank you so much for coming through. We take our last quick call. Good evening. Bwino bwanje.
Bwino muni bwanje.
Yes, we're evening.
Zero.
Okay, Walevi, due to time, I have to let you go. Kataya Nkatisia. Zikomo. Okay, Zikomo. All right, Mr. Mukondo, you may respond to these contributions. We have exactly 4 minutes to go.
I think I will talk about Evans Cheo, who I left from Kwacha constituency. He was suggesting very brilliant observation, ZESCO and having alternative sources of energy.
Okay.
So on that one, we have looked at having maybe nuclear, and I think a new company will be formed, which will look into that one. And also ZESCO, I think once the competition, especially that they have done this energy, is it the tariffs? We are looking at maybe to split them. The generation is done by other people, the engineers. The distribution is done by another company. And then also the selling of the actual commodity, it's also done by an independent company. So basically what is important is that energy, as we stand, it's a security commodity. And then also strategically, we cannot just give it away. So that's why we have always controlled it as a Patriot Front and also as a government since the independence. And since also the population is growing, we need to have more players coming, as he has suggested. And then coming to Koilad, he said comparatively he wants the Zambian kwacha to perform better than even the American dollar. And then if you get back comparatively with the Botswana, which I brought on board, the Pula, it's just one kwacha. This is one kwacha. So basically, in this, in his usual UPND myopic approach of looking at things, he says in Chomba there is a dam. We are talking about dams like Kariba Dam. We are talking about Itezi.
Not a dam which is at the farm.
Not a dam which is at the farm. So that is the unfortunate part of trying to understand things. He wants to be an international player, but he does not understand. So let me be first. KB talked about laziness. I don't want to use the term that he said. We have a lot of people are lazy. People like Koilad. These are the same characters that KB is trying to describe in the UPND. And then Niba Munsanje, he talked about is it a dialogue, and then also meaning.
The 2016 campaign promises.
The 2016 campaign promises. He has been a regular caller. I want to waste too much time. The other one also, Jampo, he talked about Midimio, and then he also boasts that where he's coming from, Avena Fisenge, when he was branch chairman, he resorted to going agro. So that is just an example of everybody. So that he's even asking the president to go there, so that he is an example to the whole country. The way as the president has gone into Pemba, he picked that woman and the other farmer there, and then also Mumba. If he's lucky, I'll get his number so that I can forward it here, and the president can visit him, so that whatever he's boasting about, it can be an example to everyone. And then he talked about also the Congo. Why are we not going there? I just want to let him know that the Minister of Foreign Affairs has signed a very good memorandum with the ministry, with the counterpart ministry there, about the Congo market. So as we go in 2020, if we are going to have a bumper harvest, people will access that single market in the Congo.
Quickly, your concluding remarks as we wind up the year 2019.
As we end up 2019, let us thank God for being so generous, and then also as a patriotic point, we thank our people for being so resilient, and for coming out of 2019 in this shape. And we just pray that as we go in 2020, a lot of projects that this PF has invested in will start yielding results. And as the president reminded us, we have now done as a nation 20 years in pursuing the goal of turning Zambia into a second prosperous nation, as according to the Millennium Challenge 2030. So as we start tomorrow, it's day one into that new decade. So the PF is very ready to take you into this new decade, so that at the end of the day we'll graduate and we'll look back, looking at the infrastructure development that we have done. The MMD had failed in their first part. So ourselves in these 8 years, we have done our part, and we look forward to doing more for our people. And to tell you the truth, the PF is not shaken. It's on. It's following the developmental agenda as laid in the 7th National Development Plan. To all of you, I wish you, may Jehovah Jireh continue providing. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. That was the former PF Lusaka Province Secretary, who is the information desk for the PF, Mr. Chendela Mukondo, and we've been reviewing the PF's performance since being elected, and particularly this year, 2019. I must say thank you so much for coming through, and I hope to see you next year again, which is starting tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I'm on board.
Yeah, where we end Talk at 6 for the year 2019. Let's meet up next year again on the same frequencies. Good evening.
Talk at 6.